Was watching Kevin Chordmaster's video, and he's beginning to learn how to use Ableton, and it made me think when I was first starting with Ableton, it was a struggle to get used to this, especially if I didn't know where every tool was. But sometimes just really basic stuff to get going can be challenging. So I thought, why not make a little beginner series of videos? So I'm going to try to do small videos that kind of keep it simple and get you going. All right, so there's two ways to look at Ableton. You can either do session view, which is this view, if you prefer the clip base, where you just create clips. And then there is arranger view. Now I like this view because I'm more freeform at making my music, and I find this to be more productive for me. But whichever form you want to use, go for it. So the tab button on your QWERTY keyboard allows you to switch back and forth between the views. So I'm going to use this view because I know a lot of guys like this view, but it's important to read this. Drag files and devices here. So if you drag a waveform from over here into this area, it's going to literally just put it on an audio track, right, as a complete wave. However, down here, if you drop an instrument or a sample here, it will put it into, right, an instrument. So you could either get an instrument from here, one of your Ableton ones, or your plugins. If you want to use one over here, like your AV3s or whatever, go to plugins, you get all of them right here. That's up to you. Or you can even store them in favorites by right-clicking and setting them up to favorites, right? We're not going to go into that in this video. This is a quick start. Okay, so let's say you're a sample-based person, though, and you want to use samples, right? So we're going to go into this little folder here, and here's a bass sample. I'm going to drag this down here, and it's going to create an instrument. Now, where did it create that? I don't know, because I didn't make a MIDI track. So these tracks, ignore these, right click here, and you can see you can insert an audio, a MIDI, or return. Return is more like an effect that you want to return to that track. Let's say you have an effect, like I have a drum bus. All these tracks can be affected by this drum bus, okay? So let's just go into a MIDI track. So here's a MIDI track, right? It's pretty simple where it is, but there's nothing on it. If it was, you would see it down here. All right, so let's just drag this into here. Now, while this is highlighted, that means we're on this track, and anything that goes down here affects this track. So when I put this audio track here, this is simpler. And with simpler, you can chop. Classic means it's gated. So it's just, you hold it down, it's gonna play, but it releases when I let go. One shot is exactly that, used for one shot like drums. We use one shot on drums a lot. Slice is to slice up samples. So you want to use this a lot because it's going to help you to make your music pretty quick. So all I'm going to do is drag these little arrows over to section off just this piece of the song, right? It's like chopping. Then if I right click, I can hit crop sample. I'm going to crop it a little bit further, like right there. Now, if you right click on this, you can see you can reverse the sample, normalize it, whichever you want to do. Now I'm going to go to slice, and down here under slice, I have transient, beat, region, and manual, and then sensitivity. So if I decrease the sensitivity, you'll see it spreads the chops a little bit further out. You can also do regions, which gives you, however many regions you select, or beat, which allows you to set up divisions. So if you want it chopped evenly, like 16, etc. I'm going to go back to transients, and I'm going to leave it. So when I set this transient sensitivity, now on my keyboard, or you can use the QWERTY. If you have this button on, you can use QWERTY, meaning I can play it on here. can't see me playing, but I'm playing on the QWERTY keyboard of the computer. If I don't have that on, I'm going to use the controller I have, which just happens to be the launch key. Okay, so now I can play any of these sample slices across the keyboard. Right? So this is a fun way to get started. Just drop a sample in like I did. It puts it into a simpler. And then from the simpler, now you can change your slice by and the sensitivity. But you also have a filter on here. So if you want the sample to be sounding right, a little more filtered out, you can do that. You can also transpose it. Right. So if you want to change the pose of that sample. And then of course your volumes. The warp is set to complex. If you wanted to, you have other options here. I'm going to set it to pro, right? So let's just play that into a track. So you have record set here. Let's say you want to do it on this one. Whatever you want to do. Now just hit play. Now in this case, I played a little long. I didn't play to a metronome, but you could drag this back. Adjust the loop point if you want. You don't have to do this. I didn't play to a click track, so right. You can also change that right here if you want. So let's re-record it. I'm going to go ahead and just delete it. And when you get this no clip selected, just hit Shift Tab, and it brings you back to your main screen. Shift Tab, okay? So let's put a metronome on. That usually helps. So there's the metronome going. I'm going to change the BPM to like 86 or something. Okay, so now I'm going to hit record. And it's recording. Now the problem I have is I got to get the timing down if I'm going to use this. I don't use this often, but you can see how easy it is to get started. So again, you can arm 2, 3. I'm terrible at looping, by the way, as you can all see, and I'm very honest about it. That's not my thing. 2. Okay, so you can obviously see I suck at looping. That's okay. That's not the point of this video. It's just to show you that that's how you do it. This is loop-based stuff, and I tend to work the opposite. But it's pretty clear that it's not hard to do. You can also use MIDI Capture. So let's say you don't want to use, you want to use this, but you don't want to use the looper on the timing because you want to kind of create your own time. You can just, as long as you're on the track and it's armed, you can just start playing. Okay, and then hit the MIDI capture on the screen. It's right here. Boom. And what's dope about this way of working is it picks your timing for you. So remember, I think I set it to 86 and it's showing me that the timing that I'm playing is around 84.5. So we could increase that to 85, round it up. And now you have So what's cool about this is I didn't even have to pick a tempo if I didn't want to. I could just leave record off. Leave record armed. Don't press, the record to actually play through the track. Just record something at the tempo I want, and it will guess the tempo that I actually set it at. As long as this arm is on that track. And just when you touch a track, it should arm it, right? So now I have this clip, and if I want to speed it up, like maybe I want it to be 95. And then if you want to go in and do the whole adjust the note. Maybe this one I want to go twice. Okay, so pretty simple way of getting started to record. If this is the workflow you want, you're more into the loop workflow. You can also drag this. Let's say if this is how you start over to here and go right into simpler and just start doing it here. Or leaves the session view rather. I'm sorry, go to the arranger view. So now you have that piece here. And you could go back and remove it here if you don't want to work this way. So let's say you get started. You get started with these. You drag it over, drop it in, and now you can go in and arrange the track. And that's kind of the workflow of Ableton, right? You can build in the session, but if you, like me, you don't even want to deal with that because I'm not loop based in that essence. And then come right in here and just start doing your track. So in here, this is the arranger view. If I wanted to do that same thing, all I got to do is hit press record. I don't even have to press record. Again, it's or whatever, right? MIDI capture, there it is. So there's the notes I just messed up on and played. Same principle. Now it says 93 that time. See it changed up here? But again, once you play it in MIDI, you can always increase the thing. Now with audio, we're using audio as a sample, but when it's an audio track, it's a little different. We'll talk about the audio track stuff later, why I use the audio and what I like about it. But for those that are just getting started, MIDI is pretty easy. Drop a sample in, chop it up, play your samples back in the way you want to play them. You're done. All right, so that's it for part 1. This is more about getting started using Ableton and just how simple it can be. Now, I will say this. It's important to learn some key commands. Otherwise, you will have to use the mouse. But if you don't want to use the mouse, then learn those key commands and it'll be quick. We'll talk about key commands that I think are the most important in part 2, because I think that'll help you get to navigating through Ableton pretty fast. All right, that's it for this video. I'm out.